straightforward, quicker exam. But there's some we never spoke to that's here that maybe called. And I have 2 minutes to go and just talk to them briefly.
Yeah.
And I know the defense counsel, I told a couple of them too.
Are you ready for me right now? Yes.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay.
No, he wants.
Okay, good.
I mean, probably.
Okay.
I already pre-marked exhibits, how the exhibit was.
You let them know she's in the wrong.
Report and the state police report for you. No
I mean,
problem.
Samantha.
How's everybody?
How are you, Laura? I haven't seen you in a minute.
I'm fine. I come in here every day. You just don't look
I
up.
mean, you haven't been like in here.
Oh, since last week?
You haven't been in here. When you came and relieved somebody?
The day when Tyrone took off. What was that?
Oh, one day.
Friday, yeah.
Hey, ready for breakfast?
Yeah, they got us staying for a month in courtroom. So I'm
okay.
next door for a month. Oh, a month.
Why are they doing it?
Not to my knowledge.
Why are they rotating? Why don't they?
I have no idea.
Hold on, my partner, I just walked in, so let me
Being
check. Hold
there,
on.
stay in the courtroom long enough, you know how the judge is, you know how things work, you know, things like. You know, you gotta keep. What?
I'm sorry, they're on the phone from downstairs, they wanna know, did they offer to cut through here after they brought the prisoner up?
Well, I would think with COVID, you know, they're just gonna.
That's why they got us doing a month
Okay,
because of
and
COVID,
the-
you know, instead of going.
I ain't seen no paper.
Courtroom to leave.
Well, everybody wanna work in Judge Giles courtroom for some reason, so we got to keep switching up.
I have to-
Oh, that's what it is.
Yes.
Trying to stay
They
with your
took it
courtroom,
to the
Judge.
judge, and he'll be gone
Be a
to
little
the
entertaining
courtroom.
They know who it was. I'm not even worried about this.
Are they looking for one of their officers?
They said, they wanted to know if he cut through the courtroom after he dropped the prisoner
Who?
downstairs.
I think he did.
He did. I know he did.
Yeah, I don't know his name, but yeah, he dropped
Scott
the prisoner
Dixon,
off and
yeah.
then went out.
Why do they care?
I do not know.
That's what I wanted. The little stuff. Man, what you worried about?
Hey, maybe he had to go to the bathroom.
Right. Golly, that's
He in trouble now.
just because he,
Right,
yeah,
trouble.
the guy is locked up. He did his job. Brought him up.
Yeah, she said, did you get your prisoner off the elevator? Like, well, she brought him up, I'm sure they did.
But y'all got a prisoner, y'all got a homicide.
She don't have anything. Some of his wives are, but the prosecutors here. Did you? I said, go shoot. She said, say, I'm away. He said, these are me too. Before they asked her, she said, yeah, okay. I'm gonna talk to you. I said, sure you should. Like,
Well, yeah, Carson put her together when he was at lunch.
yeah, no, I figured that, yeah. Did you put these names out?
I had not.
So you came in here and tested? You're here. I was wondering, that's why I asked her.
He asked me, were you still in there?
Yeah, because I saw some names.
You seen all them names, so he asked, were you still in here? I guess the time
Yeah,
that
so
they
someone
signed
came
it.
in.
Just out. She said, I'm out of here.
Oh, at lunchtime?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to eat. I don't have to, I love to. At a certain time of the day. I'm not a breakfast person.
Yeah.
You know,
On the weekends, I won't. But not, not every.
mhm. That's it.
Hmm?
Seems like it's going to be a little.
He said it's, I mean, straightforward.
Hey, Miss Katie, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
Good to see you.
Always a pleasure. You know I like being here.
Yeah. Guess we'll get that from you.
Yes, ma'am. An hour? Give you an hour.
45.
45? Okay. You're on.
Oh,
You're
hey,
on.
Do what you gotta do.
You're on.
take your time.
Judge, I'm ready to go in for it. Thank you for your time.
Oh, well, then I'm out.
Your Honor, may I approach with a copy of people's proposed exhibit list?
Sure.
I'm for defense counsel and for report.
All right, thank
May I approach?
you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Judge.
Ready on Jawan Graves, calling case number 2058939, the people of the state of Michigan versus Jawan Graves. Defendant is charged with count 1, homicide, murder, first degree premeditated. Count 2, assault with intent to murder. Count 3, weapons, firearms, possession by a felon. Count 4, weapons carried concealed. Count 5, count 6, count 7, weapons felony, firearm, habitual offender for notice. This matter is scheduled for examination.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Mike Glenn for the people. My P number is 77516.
Ronald Weitzman, on behalf of the defendant, 2215. All right, Juwan Graves. Mr. Graves, take your name for the record, please.
Juwan Gray.
Thank you, sir. All right, you ready to proceed?
You are ready to proceed, Your Honor.
Preliminary,
Your Honor, other than the mutual sequestration order that I know that is in force right now, I'm asked for an exception from my officer in charge of seeking on it.
you know, whether it's on the bill and stop, hearing of the courtroom, of the denied this testimony, your exception to officer in charge. Right now, we have nobody that's on Zoom. I have no idea if anybody's watching on YouTube.
Thank you, Judge. With that, Your Honor, I have what's entitled People's Exhibit Number 1, or Proposed Exhibit Number 1, that's the medical examiner's report in relation to this case. I'm going to move for its admission under MCL 766.11 Delta, the hearsay exception for preliminary exam.
Any objection? No objection to that. You admit it?
Permission to read the brief summary and opinion portion of the examiner's report. Thank you, Judge. I have what's entitled People's Exhibit Number 1, the Office of the Wayne County Medical Examiner Postmortem Report. It certifies that Dr. Lee Lavity, the Deputy Chief Medical Examiner, performed a postmortem examination on the body of Frederick Jose Crum Jackson at the Wayne County Medical Examiner's Office on May 27th of 2020. In the summary and opinion portion of this document, it states that it is my opinion that death was caused by a gunshot wound to the neck. There was an entrance gunshot wound on the right neck with no evidence of close range fire noted on the skin surrounding this wound. The wound track passed through the right neck muscle, right internal jugular vein, and common carotid artery and fifth cervical vertebral body into the left cervical paraspinal soft tissue. There was extensive bleeding into the neck soft tissue. The wound track was from front to back and right to left when the body is viewed in the standard anatomical position. There was no bullet or part of bullet recovered from the wound track. A deformed jacketed bullet was recovered from the neck and retained in the manner of death as homicide. It's signed by Dr. Leigh Lavity, Deputy Chief Medical Examiner for the Wayne County Medical Examiner's Office.
All right, any objection?
No, sir.
In a minute.
Thank you, Judge. Judge, I think we may have some other stipulations, but I think that can wait until the end of the
Okay.
exam. May the people call their first witness?
Yes.
The people would call Officer Hobson.
Before he takes the witness stand, let me just ask, are the photographs,
Sure.
autopsy photographs, a part of that exhibit?
They are not. I could certainly make them a part of it, but I don't. For this particular case, I didn't really believe that they were relevant to make that determination,
Okay.
at least for exam purposes.
Yeah, sure. Is that doable?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Like this?
Yeah.
Something like that, sure.
That's good. That's good. Right. I got you. Hold on.
Judge, people would call Officer Hobson.
First name?
First name, Judge? I believe it's Paul.
No, I get it, don't worry about it.
It is Paul, Judge.
You drank? Where are our, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Could you please state your name for the record?
My name is Paul Hobson.
And sir, how are you employed?
I am a police officer in the city of Detroit.
And how long have you been a police officer for the city of Detroit?
A little over a year, sir.
And what is your current assignment?
Platoon 1, 11 precinct.
And specifically, do you work as a patrol officer?
Yes, sir, I do.
And would that be in a fully marked scout car?
Yes, sir.
And when you're in that fully marked scout car, are you also in a fully marked uniform,
Yes, sir.
similar to what you have on today?
Exactly.
Now, were you working in that capacity back on May 27th of 2020,
I was.
specifically around 2:20 a.m.?
Yes,
And were you working patrol that particular morning?
I was. Scout 11-1.
And were you working by yourself or were you with a partner?
A partner.
And what's your partner's name?
Lorena Ramirez.
Lorena Ramirez?
Yes.
She also a police officer for the city of Detroit?
Yes, sir.
Would she have been in a uniform similar to the one you have on as well?
Yes, sir.
Would you have been in a fully mounted scar car at the time?
Yes, sir.
And would you have been affixed with a body worn camera that would have been activated at that particular point?
Yes, sir.
Would your partner have, if you know?
That's my knowledge, yes.
Okay. Now, did your duties bring you to the area of Keystone and Hillsdale in the city of Detroit?
Yes, sir.
Is that here in Wayne County?
Yes, sir.
What brought you to that particular location?
We received a call for a shots fired in progress, possible GSW.
And when you say GSW, you're referring to a gunshot wound?
Yes, sir.
When you receive that information, do you go to that area of Keystone and Hillsdale?
We do.
And when you say we, you mean you and your partner?
Yes, sir, I do.
And how did you get there?
By scout car.
And did you arrive at that particular location?
We did.
And when you arrived, what did you observe?
When we arrived, we observed two black
Oh,
males.
what did you observe?
Oh, sorry, sir. I observed two black males, one black male with a gunshot wound to the right side of his neck, in the middle of the street at Keystone Hilldale, and I observed another black male shot in the hip. He was laying in a driveway a couple houses down.
When you make these observations of two black males with what you believe to be gunshot wounds, what's the next thing that you do? Do you notify anyone of this?
Yes, I was actually the second car on scene when EMS was already ordered for the gunshot wound. After that time, after we got the information, we made notifications, called the homicide, and things like that. Just following our procedures.
Okay, so you said a lot there, so I'm gonna break it down,
Okay.
okay? You said that when you arrived, you observed two black males with gunshot wounds and you made notifications to EMS.
Yes, sir.
Did EMS arrive?
Yes, sir.
Did they render aid to the two black males that you observed when you first arrived?
Yes, sir.
And you said that you also got their information?
Yes, sir.
And when you say their information, are you referring to the two victims of the gunshot wounds?
Yes. At the time, the first victim was able to give me information.
And why was that, sir? If you know.
Because he passed away.
All right, is that why you informed homicide of the observations that you made?
Yes, sir. Notified control and then notified homicide.
When you arrived on scene, other than the two black males with gunshot wounds that you observed, did you speak or were you able to speak to any witnesses that may have been there?
Yes, sir.
And do you remember how many witnesses that you had to speak to or you could speak to?
I can't recall off the top of my head.
Do you remember if they were male or female?
Both sexes.
So you spoke to both males and females?
Yes, sir.
Were you able to ascertain, at least preliminarily, what had happened to cause these gunshot wounds?
From the information provided,
Okay, that's hearsay.
No, I wasn't gonna ask what he said, but were you able to ascertain information about what happened?
yes.
All right, and with that information that you were given, were you given a description of potential suspects?
Yes, sir.
And what did you do with that information?
We broadcasted over the radio.
And-
House.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh.
All right, in terms of suspects, the information that you received, was there, were you made aware of there being one or more individuals?
More than one.
And were you given descriptions for those individuals?
Yes, sir.
And when you say more than one, is it 2, 3, 4, how many individuals? 2?
2.
All right, the first individual that you were given, what was the description you were given of the individual?
We were given black male, dark complexion, between the height of 6 foot to 6'2", wearing jeans and a white t-shirt with, I do believe, blue shorts underneath, basketball shorts. And then the second was, black male, lighter complexion, 5'6" to 5'9", I do believe, wearing jeans and a dark shirt. I do not exactly recall the full description on top of my head.
When looking at your report, your recollections,
Yeah.
may I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yeah.
All right, sir, I'm handing you a one-page document. Is that your report?
Yes, sir.
All right, look over that and tell me when it refreshes your recollection. Does that refresh your recollection, sir?
Yes.
Okay, so for victim one, or excuse me, for individual description one.
The officer that got the descriptions of the suspects did a supplement report that was in there, the descriptions.
Okay, so the descriptions that you're given are off the memory of what
Some
someone
of
was
was broadcast over the channel.
Okay, would those descriptions have been relayed by you or another officer?
Another officer.
Was there, strike that. Were you present when EMS arrived?
Yes, sir, I was.
Did homicide eventually arrive?
Yes, sir.
Were you present when they arrived?
Yes, sir, I was.
And to your knowledge, was the scene processed?
Yes, sir, I was.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Or,
With proposed exhibits.
oh, yeah.
All right, sir, I'm approaching with what has been marked as people's proposed exhibits 2 through 16. Do you recognize what I'm handing you, sir?
Yes, I did.
All right, are these photographs from the scene on Keystone and Hilldale?
Yes, sir, they are.
Back from May of 27 of 2020?
Yes, sir.
And are those fair and accurate depictions of the scene as you remember it back on that particular day?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to move to the admission of people's 2 through 16. Judge.
Oh, objection.
Right, admit it.
You already told the court that one of the individuals passed away on scene. What about the other individual? What happened to that person, if you know?
Aid was rendered to him, that time, EMS rendered aid after they rendered aid to the first, and he was transported to the hospital.
May I approach the witness, Judge?
Yeah.
It's just over super free case of it.
Yeah.
And permission to publish?
You guys on that tape?
You can take a look. You can take a look. Just look at this case.
Okay,
Thank you, Judge.
Talk to your mother. Sworn.
Were you, or were you made aware of a description of a potential getaway vehicle?
Yes, sir, I was.
And what description of the vehicle were you given?
It was a silver Chevy Malibu.
Silver Chevy Malibu?
Yes, sir.
Judge, I have nothing further. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
thank you.
What time, did you get the call?
Roughly 2:20 a.m., sir.
2:20 a.m. And you had no information about the time of the event itself relative to your getting the call?
No.
And how far did you have to go from where you received the call to where you had to get to?
I do not recall exactly. A few miles, I know we went like in silence.
Yeah. How long did it take you?
Minutes,
Minutes.
between 5 and 7, I would say.
And when you arrived at, what are the names of the streets again? Hilldale
In Keystone, sir.
and Keystone, no S on the end of Hill, not Hillsdale, but Hill.
Yes.
And was there anybody walking around at the scene or anybody?
There was a large crowd gathered.
There was.
Yes.
Was that crowd interviewed or anything by anybody?
Yes, sir, they were.
you saw a body in the street.
Yes, sir.
Did you participate in covering that body or anything like that?
I did not, sir.
You had nothing to do with the body.
I did not.
So you didn't observe any wounds or anything about,
I observed the wound.
you did look at the wound.
Yes, sir.
And that was in the neck, as you understood?
Yes, sir. It was a direct.
You didn't move the body to see whether there was an exit wound or anything like that?
No, sir.
You didn't take the photographs?
No, sir. Evidence texted, sir.
I'm sorry?
Evidence texted?
Yeah, right. In the exhibit introduced, what was the number? 2 through 16. Number 16, I'll show you, shows dice and keys. Were those items found together laying in the grass, or do you not know anything?
I do not recall where they were
Exhibit
found.
16 showed the driver's license.
Oh, I'm looking at pictures. 13, I'm sorry. I have sort of a reduced version.
I do recall red dice and a set of keys being found, but I don't recall if they were together or separate.
Being found, meaning not being found by you, but being found by someone.
Other officers.
Yes. And did you see them in their where they were laying?
I've seen the keys, I do believe, were in the grass, and dice, I do believe, by a shirt.
Oh, these were moved then?
No, nobody touched the dice, or anything I'm saying. I'm saying that's what I recall.
Did the person who was injured, was he mobile?
He was on, if I do recall correctly, he was on his side in pain, and where the vehicle was rendered to him.
Did he converse with you?
Not with me directly, no.
No. What does that mean, not directly?
He conversed with other officers, not with me.
You didn't hear this conversation?
No, sir, I didn't.
Do you know who he talked to?
If I recall correctly, it was police officer Tatiana Walden and my partner, Lorraine Ramirez.
Got it. And you remained at the scene
Yes, until it was cleared.
till it was cleared,
Yes, sir.
which took about how long?
If I had guess, around 4 or 5 hours.
Okay. Give me a second. Thank you. No further questions. Anything, Judge?
No, Judge, thank you.
I thank God for you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you have a minute, people call the next witness?
Sure.
The people are gonna call Samantha Cobb.
Come on, this way.
around this. Hold on, put your vote down, put in one of the chairs on there, put in the chair. Raise your hand. Swear our affirm, so the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. All right, you can take the vote for you. And this time, you're gonna be asked a series of questions. First by the prosecutor, the defense attorney, probably ask some questions. And I may or may not ask a question, all right? You have to answer all your questions out loud verbally. Just can't shake your head going out. Or say, obviously, yes, no, whatever the answer, all right? Also, when you ask a question, please just answer that question and stop. If it's a yes or no type question, just say yes or no. If they need additional information, we'll just ask them another question, all right? We all have attendance. We're talking about something that has happened, and especially that event has been traumatic. It's the Rambo. We'll say this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. And if you go on like that, I'm doing this. Okay. I know nothing about the case. On the defendant's name, the charge of it, on your name, and those officers came in for you. That's it. All right, I get all my information from what happens in court. One question, one answer at a time. That way I can understand what happens, okay? All right, and last but not least, I need to, because of the mask and the barrier, you please keep your voice up, so everybody can hear you. You can talk directly into that microphone, and we'll help amplify your voice.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Great to see you.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hello,
All right, would you mind stating your name for the record?
Samantha Cobb.
And Ms. Cobb, I want to bring you back to May 27th of 2020. You remember that day?
Yes,
I'm going to bring you around 2:20 a.m. You remember that time?
yes,
And were you in the area of Keystone and Hilldale in the city of Detroit?
yes, I was.
And were you there by yourself or were you with some people?
I was with some people.
All right, and can you tell me who you were with?
I was with my friend and his friend,
And when you say your friend, what's your friend's name?
Frederick.
All right, would that be Frederick from Jackson?
Yes,
And you said his friends as well?
yes.
Do you know what their names are?
Only one,
And what's that name?
Brian.
How long had you known Fred?
About 6 months,
How long had you known Brian?
6 months.
And what were you, Fred, Brian, and some other people that you just testified about? What were you guys doing around that time and at that place?
They were shooting that out there.
And when you say they, are you speaking of the male?
The male,
The males were, okay.
yes, I was only female.
And were they doing this is Hilldale and Keystone, is that a cross street?
Yes,
Were they doing this in the middle of the street, was it on the sidewalk? Tell me exactly where this happened.
it was in the middle of the street, underneath the light.
And did something happen that brings you to court today?
Yes,
Let's talk about the first thing that happens.
my friend got shot in the neck.
All right, let's talk about before that, okay?
Okay.
Before that happened, what's the first thing you remember happening?
My friends were shooting dice. Well, my friend and his friends were shooting dice, and a car pulled up with 2 guys.
Right.
Well, 3 guys actually. So 3 guys, and 1 guy walked away, and the other 2 guys was trying to shoot dice with the males that was there.
I'm exactly there, okay? You said that a car pulls up, describe the car for me.
It was a Malibu, old Malibu,
Your own color,
silver.
and you said the 3 people get out of the car?
Yeah,
1 walks away, and the other 2 try to play nice.
yeah.
Are they able to do that?
No,
And why is that?
because the males didn't want to. They didn't know them.
When you say the males, and mind you, I just have to clarify,
Okay.
is this Fred, Brian, and the other males that were there? To your knowledge, did Fred, Brian, and everyone else there, other than the 3 that showed up, did they all know each other?
No.
So, did 2 individuals come up?
Yeah.
Describe the first individual for me.
The tall one. He was tall, medium, complex. He was skinny. He barely had facial hair. He had like a mini afro.
And what about the second individual?
Short, kind of short, dark skin, khaki, with glasses.
And these were the 2 individuals that were attempting to shoot dice?
Yeah.
And you said that they weren't able to.
No.
What's the next thing that happens?
When they got denied, they trying to walk away, but they started talking crap, y'all don't wanna play with us, y'all scared, calling them pussies and stuff.
Okay, so there were words that were exchanged between the people that showed up, the two individuals you just described,
Yeah.
and the people that you were with that were shooting guns.
Yeah.
After the words were, and these aren't pleasant words, is that fair to say?
Yeah,
I think you said they were called pussies and stuff like that. Is that yes?
they were trying to antagonize them.
Does it, so what happens next? What's the next thing that happens then?
Okay, so after they about to walk away, Frederick, he said, come on, I'll shoot with you. He was the only one that wanted to, he was like, I can shoot with you.
Okay, so Fred invites the two that just showed up to come and shoot guys.
Yeah.
Do they do that?
Yes, they do.
And when they were referring to the two gentlemen that
They
came up
walked up, yeah.
from the Malibu?
Yeah.
Okay, and do they end up shooting guys?
Okay, so first, it was the tall one. He was the first one to start shooting the knife. He started losing. And when he started losing, he got upset. But then it was Fred's turn to shoot the knife. So the tall guy wanted to change the price. But, who wants to, just save money like that? So Fred said, you know what, I don't wanna shoot dice no more. So then the guy antagonized him again, and he
All right,
was
when you
like,
say the guy, all right, now I gotta stop you.
I'm sorry, the tall guy.
So, all right, tall guy and Fred are exchanging work.
Yeah.
Fred doesn't wanna continue to play on a different terms.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah,
Is it a higher price or lower price?
lower price.
And you said that then there's some antagonizing going back, is it from the tall guy to Fred or Fred to the tall guy?
The tall guy to Fred, he said, you're not gonna let me win my money back.
And how does the tall guy take that?
He
Or
got-
actually, how does Fred take that? Does Fred,
Fred tried to get off, the dice. Like he said, I'm just picking my money up. He said, I don't even wanna shoot no more.
I'm gonna stop you there. Does Fred threaten the individual in any way?
No, not until the tall guy tried to take the money out of Fred's hand.
All right, let's talk about that. So you say that the tall guy is antagonizing Fred, Fred doesn't wanna play anymore, what's the next thing that happens?
The tall guy tried to take the money out of his hand, so Fred hit the tall guy, and the tall guy passes out.
So Fred punches tall guy.
Mhm.
Tall guy, you said passes out.
Yeah.
Where is the other guy that
He
was
was
there?
standing literally right there, like standing right next to the tall guy.
Okay, and for the record, Your Honor, the witness is taking both hands, kind of put them about, I don't know, maybe a foot or less apart, about right center of her chest, describing that the witness, or excuse me, the other individual is literally right next to, where the tall guy is.
Mainly it was a circle. It was a circle of everybody around.
And everyone was within what, a foot, approximately a foot or 2 feet from each other?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes,
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And after Fred punches tall guy passes out, what's the next thing that happens?
the dark skinned one starts to shoot.
And when you say starts to shoot, does he pull out a gun?
Yes, he does.
Did you see this gun on him prior to the shooting?
No, I did not.
And when this person starts shooting, can you see or tell who he's shooting at, if anything?
I saw him shoot directly in front of him, where Fred was standing.
And anywhere else?
He started, it was like it was like 5 or 6 shots.
So you heard multiple shots?
Yeah, so I started running after, I seen him shoot the first one.
And then, does the tall guy get up, wake up, or do anything?
So after I ran, I came out because I didn't see Frederick. And when I came out, I seen the dark skinned guy picking the tall guy up off the ground and dragging him to the car.
And when you say the car, are you referring to the silver Malibu?
Yes, I am.
And during this whole altercation, did anyone else display a handgun or a firearm of any kind?
Not that I know of. I only heard the one gun.
And the people that you were with at the time, did you know or have any reason to know if they were armed?
No,
They were not armed?
no, not that I know of.
And so you say that the smaller guy picks up tall guy, puts him in the car.
Yes,
Do they leave?
yes, they do.
And what's the next thing that happens?
I tried to save my friend.
When you say your friend, who's your
My
friend?
friend, I tried to save Frederick. I was, trying to give him CPR and hold him, put pressure on his neck.
And
And
why were you doing that? I know that's a stupid question, man, but why were you putting pressure on his neck?
because he was bleeding out,
Is that where you
and
were
he got
shot?
shot at.
What about anyone else? Was anyone else that shot at the time that you were made aware of or that you knew?
Yes, it was an older guy. He got shot in the butt.
Was he there at the time that, people were shooting?
All
at?
in the circle, yes.
Everyone was in the circle?
Everyone was in the circle. I don't know his name, but he was all in the circle.
How many people would you say were in the circle at the time?
About 8 or 9.
8 or 9 people?
Yeah.
Did you ever see anyone with, do you know what a drum is? Like a drum that you can put, like, next to a
A
handgun?
circle on the gun?
Yes.
No, I didn't see it.
You didn't see any of that?
No.
So when you say you didn't see it, was there someone that was there that had one, or that you knew had one?
No, not that I know of.
Okay. Okay, so you're attempting to render aid to Fred. Is that correct?
Yeah,
And you said that there's another older man that had been shot as
Yeah.
well? Do the police arrive?
yes, they do.
Did you call the police or did someone else?
Okay, so when I attempted to call the police, they was saying that they was busy, so another car pulled up on the side and saying that I was trying to save him, and they called the police, and then they pulled up.
And did the police end up,
Yeah, they ended up coming.
were you there when they arrived?
But
And-
Fred was already gone.
Pardon?
But he was already gone.
And when you say already gone, do you mean that Fred had passed away?
He had passed away already.
What about the other individual, the older man? that had been
He was
shot?
laying on the side, like not the sidewalk, but the curb. He was laying on the curb.
And this is all happening, you say, in the middle of Keystone and Hilton?
Yes, right on Keystone, at the corner.
When the police arrive, do you stay
Yes, I stayed for a while.
and you eventually leave?
Yes, I did.
Do you end up speaking to the police about what happened?
Yes, I do.
And did you give them a written statement about what you saw and what you heard?
Yes, I did.
And at some point in time, did they show you a series of photographs and ask if you recognize anyone?
Yes,
And were you able to make an identification?
yes, I was.
And who were you able to identify?
Ron Gray.
All right, and how do you know that person's name?
Because that's what they told me.
Okay, and when you say they, who are you talking about?
The detective.
All right, now, I wanna ask you this, and it may seem like a stupid question, but when you're told it's Juwan Graves, is this before or after you make an identification?
This was months after.
Okay, so
This was
you,
in September when the first court date was trying to, they subpoenaed me the first time, and then the court date didn't come through.
okay, but the identification that you made was well before that?
Yeah, well before. It was,
You-
I identified him in May.
Okay. And, would you recognize that photograph if you're shown in court today?
Yeah.
May I approach with it? All right, ma'am, I'm approaching with what has been marked as people proposed exhibit number 17. And I'm gonna ask, do you recognize that? All
Yeah,
right, is that the photograph that you were shown?
yeah,
Is your signature on that particular document?
yeah,
And is it fair to say that that's a photograph or a photocopy of the identification that you made?
yeah,
And is that a fair and accurate depiction of the identification that you made?
yeah.
I'm gonna move for the admission of people 17, Judge.
For purposes of preliminary exam, no objection.
This,
Now, when you were shown this particular photograph, I see next to the actual photo itself, SC, are those your initials?
Yes, they are.
Is that something that you did?
Yeah,
And then I see a portion that says signature of witness and then a date and a time. Is that your signature?
yes, it is.
And then were you asked a couple of questions regarding this?
Yes,
The first question, do you see anyone you recognize? Were you able to answer yes?
yes,
And that's indicated on this exhibit?
yes,
Were you also asked if the answer to question number 1 was yes, identify the photos by placing your initials? Were you able to do that?
yes,
And then lastly, do you have any additional comments? And your answer was he had more hair, he was the shooter. Do you remember saying that?
yes,
Okay, now, the individual that was the shooter that particular day, do you see him in court today?
yes, I do.
Can you point to him and identify an article of clothing he's wearing?
Right there with the green shirt on.
All right, is he in the first pew?
Yes,
All right, Judge, I'm gonna ask the record reflect, because I don't believe that there is anyone else in the courtroom, especially in the first pew that has a gray shirt on, that the record reflect the witnesses identify the defendant in this case, Juwan Graves. Thank you, Judge. And then one more, Your Honor. The individuals that you saw there, the two that arrived, or at least the two that came up to ask to shoot dice, were they older or younger?
Younger,
Do they appear to be of the same age?
about it.
And the person that you've identified as Juwan Graves in court today, other than that particular night, did you know who he was? Had you ever met him before?
No,
What about the tall individual as well?
no.
Judge, I have nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. Afternoon, Ms. Cox.
Hello.
How many people were participating in this shooting dice?
About 8 or 9.
8 or 9 people?
Yeah.
And how long had they been shooting dice for before the Chevy Malibu?
About 2 hours.
Couple of hours, 2 hours?
Yeah.
Do you know that by the clock, or are you just estimating about?
We pulled up, me and my friend Frederick pulled up on Keystone about 12.
When you pulled up on Keystone, do you have friends or relatives on Keystone or in that area that you were?
What's the relevance?
Huh? No, what's relevant? Just, none, perhaps. So you pulled up on Keystone. Did you know any of the people in the circle other than Fred?
Yes,
Who else did you know?
his friend Brian.
His friend Brian?
Yes.
And, was Brian gambling as well as Fred?
No, he wasn't.
Brian was he standing in the circle? Was he
Yeah,
part
he
of the
was
circle?
standing there.
He was watching the game.
Yes.
How many guys were, or did this vary throughout the 2 hours? How many guys were betting back and forth?
About 5 or 6 of them.
All right, were in the game, so to speak, right?
Yeah,
And Fred was in the game, right?
yeah.
Now, was that common to shoot dice over there on that spot?
That was the first time that
First
it
time?
happened with me.
Was that dice game kind of prompted by getting the government COVID checks or something? People had money? No?
I don't know.
Have you ever shot dice before?
No,
Were you shooting dice yourself?
no,
Do you know what the rules of the game are exactly?
a little bit.
Yeah. Did Fred play pretty much the whole 2 hours?
Off and on, he was trying to attend to me a little bit.
Attend to you?
Yeah.
And when the car came, Malibu came, do you know if Fred was up money or down money or what?
He was winning against the tall medium flex guy.
No, I'm not talking about the people from the car. I'm talking about before the people from the car, from the Malibu, came on the scene.
Yeah, he was winning.
He was up money.
Yeah,
Oh. And were they shooting hundreds? Do you understand what that means?
yeah.
In other words, the minimum bet was $100.
Not before the silver Malibu.
What was it before the silver medal?
$20.
$20 a roll.
Yeah.
And was there any, before the silver Malibu showed up, was there arguing or like there usually is or can be in crap games and dice games?
No, it wasn't.
Just a peaceable game.
Peaceful.
Everybody was getting along pretty good,
Yeah,
a lot of laughter and stuff like that.
yeah.
People drinking,
Yeah.
do some people drinking,
Mhm.
getting a little high and drinking?
Yeah.
Okay, smoking dope, anybody smoking some weed?
I ain't seen no weed.
You didn't see it, could you smell it on people?
No, they was drinking.
Just drink. And, you knew Brian?
Yes,
Do you know if Brian had a weapon on him?
no, he did not.
You said you didn't know whether anybody had a weapon on him that was in that circle, right?
Brian pulled up with me and Frederick.
Pardon me?
Brian was pulled up with me and Frederick. He did not have a gun.
How do you know that?
I don't know
Huh.
per se, but he didn't. I know he didn't.
Right. You're sensitive, you didn't have a gun, but you don't know for sure.
Yeah,
Did he sometimes carry a gun?
no,
How about Fred?
no,
Do you know if any of the other people around there in that circle, the sort of 9 people, do you know if any of them were carrying guns, you know?
I didn't know them. No.
Did you know any of them, did you say?
No,
They were 9 strangers who were, some of them shooting dice
yeah,
with Fred and Brian while you were standing around.
they were all family to each other.
They were all what?
They were all family to each other.
How do you know that?
That's what they told me.
Were you talking with the people in the circle?
A little bit, yeah,
Some of, did you get names and kind of identities and things like that?
no,
Everybody was watching, who wasn't gambling, was watching the action.
yeah.
And, was the whole group of 9 people, were they all there or at one time, or did some of them come and go at different times?
They was coming and going.
Coming and going? Were they going by leaving in a car or just walking someplace?
They was walking to the house that we was all at, that was Brian's grandmother's house.
Brian's grandmother's house is the place where folks were going when they weren't gambling.
They was just, yeah, to sit down.
And is that in the neighborhood or in the close area of Keystone?
It's on the same block.
It's on the same block. So in other words, there was somebody that you knew who was involved, who lives close by to this game.
Yeah,
And you had been at that house before the game started?
you talking about on that day or?
Yeah, that day.
Yeah, I had, no.
Pardon me?
Yes,
Were you gambling there too? Were people gambling there in the house too?
the house is literally 2 houses off the corner. Nobody
Oh, I
was
see.
at the house. It
I
was
see.
on the street.
Oh, so the group, were all of the 9 in the group in the house?
No,
Just some of them?
yeah.
So when the people from the house got the idea to go out on the street to gamble, by the way, who was that got the idea to go out on the street to gamble?
They were gambling when we pulled up. When me and my friend Frederick and Brian pulled up, they was already gambling outside.
God, people were gambling outside. And so did you go to the house first, or did you just go there towards the gambling?
I sat on the porch.
You sat on the porch,
Yes,
and then did Brian and Fred walk over to where the gambling was?
yes, they did.
Immediately, or they go in the house
They was going to house first to speak
to speak?
to the grandmother. Yeah,
Okay.
they went to house to speak to the grandmother first.
And, did you get the idea that they wanted to get into that the dice game? Fred and Brian?
Brian didn't shoot dice.
Brian didn't shoot, Fred did.
Yes,
And so, Fred walked up to that group that was there on the street,
yes,
and he got into that game.
yes, he did.
And, he was betting, of course, right?
Yes,
And, were you on the porch the whole time while he was playing, or did you go
no,
down to the game?
I stood next to Fred. I stood on the porch for about 20 minutes and then I was,
He was away from you for about 20 minutes, and then you went down to the game.
yeah.
All right. Was he up or down when he came down? That is up.
That's already been asked and answered.
Did I? Okay.
Yes.
It was up, he was up.
So this car pulls up, and there are 3 guys in it,
Yes,
and one guy got out of the car. They all 3 got out of the car, right?
yes,
And one guy got out of the car and he left.
yes.
Did you have any conversation or hear anything that he said?
No, he walked to the next block.
Were you paying attention to him for
Yes,
something?
I was,
Why is that?
because they were strangers.
But one of the strangers walked away,
Yes,
and he didn't return,
no, he did not.
and he wasn't a problem.
No,
He wasn't the driver of the car, was he?
no, he wasn't.
He was, do you know where he was seated in the vehicle?
The back seat on the passenger side.
Backseat passenger side. And who was, did you know, of course, you didn't know these people from before at all.
No,
My client, who you've identified, was he the driver or the passenger?
passenger.
Front seat passenger.
Yeah.
All right. And who spoke to the people at the game about getting in the game?
The tall guy.
Which one was he, the driver or the passenger?
He was the driver.
The driver,
Mhm.
not my client.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes,
The guy who wasn't my client spoke to, who was he talking to? Do you know?
the group.
Talking to the group, can I get in this game, sort of?
Yes,
Did he ask, did you hear a conversation on how much you guys gambling, playing for?
he did not ask. He came with a price
He said what? I wanted to play for.
to shoot 100.
Shoot 100.
Yes,
And first, what? Fred didn't want to do that?
the whole group denied it.
They didn't want to do it.
No.
Did they go back and forth about
The tall guy and your client,
it? Tall guy went back and forth.
yeah, they went back and forth about, he said that they was, pussies and that.
They was what?
They were pussies and that he was scared to shoot dice with them.
These guys laughing?
The group was upset because they didn't know them.
Group was upset with, why do you think they let him in the game?
Fred said,
Speculation going to something else.
So how long did you think it went back and forth between getting to the game and playing for hundreds?
it was a short.
Short
It all
time,
happened within 10, 15 minutes.
10, 15.
Yes,
And the guy who was driving the car, did they go park the car?
yes, the car was parked
Car was parked, they got out of the car.
on
and
the
came-
corner. It was parked on the corner.
Right, and then both guys got out of the car and came over and started talking about shooting dice with them, right?
Yes,
Did you hear my guy say anything? Did you hear Mr. Graves say anything about shooting dice?
when they first walked up and they started shooting dice, he did say, they were saying we shooting 20. And he said, all right, I want to shoot a dub, but that's the same thing, so they was, confused. But I didn't see him pick any dice up though.
You never saw my client pick up any
No,
dice?
just the tall guy.
Right. And I'm gonna show you your statement. You made a written statement on May 27th.
Yes,
I gave it to you. And you signed it, and you read it over, et cetera.
yes, I did.
And was it the idea that you would sort of give this complete version of what happened, as you recall, it was only a couple hours, right,
Yes,
when they made the statement? And if I show you the statement, ask you a couple questions, may I, Your Honor?
Is this for purposes of a patron?
Yeah. Go ahead. Take a look at it, please. Okay, does it say anything in there about them shooting 20s?
no,
No. Does it say anything in there at all on both pages about not wanting the two guys that pull off in the mountain to get into the game? Doesn't say, does it?
No.
No.
When I was asked questions, they asked me what happened, right, like literally right before the shooting. They said from the altercation to the shooting.
Right, but they didn't cut you off, you were entitled to say whatever happened.
Yeah. Yes.
They wanted to hear from you. But it says in here, you see it on page 2, 1, 2, 3. The light-skinned guy, third line down, the fourth line, light-skinned guy didn't want to shoot hundreds anymore. Fred requested to shoot 50. So Fred made the request to shoot 50.
Huh.
They were shooting hundreds before, and Fred made the request to shoot 50.
So after the light-skinned guy lost,
After the what?
after the tall light-skinned, medium class guy lost,
Right,
he didn't want to shoot 100 anymore.
okay.
So they was about to end the dice game. So the tall light-skinned guy said lower it, and he lowered it to 50. So Fred said 50.
Says Fred requested to shoot 50.
He said he would shoot 50.
And they continued gambling?
No.
The point, you know what a point is in dice?
Yes.
It's what you have to roll,
Yes.
okay? If you don't roll it, what happens?
Right.
You lose. Was there ever an argument over the game before the argument that resulted in a shoot?
No.
In other words,
He was losing.
it was a relatively calm game. What'd you say?
I said the tall guy was just losing.
He was losing money.
Yeah.
You know how much he was down?
$500.
$500.
Mhm.
And did he appear to you to want to continue playing, or did he want to get out of it?
He was acting like he didn't want to shoot dice anymore.
How's that?
Cause he lost.
Did he get up to leave, or what did he do?
No, they was all still standing there.
They were still hanging around?
Yes.
All right.
They was debating back and forth about who was shooting and the price.
What was it that caused Fred to strike the man who was from the Malibu who was gambling?
The tall, light-skinned guy tried to take his money out of his hand.
That guy
Yeah,
tried to take the money out of Fred's hand.
yeah.
And how much money was it?
I don't know how much money was in his hand.
When he was shot, did you retrieve any of that money?
No, I did not.
Do you know where that money was after he was shot?
No, I did not.
And so the guy that was gambling tried to take the money. Was he successful in taking the money?
No, Fred hit him.
Fred punched him in the face.
Yes,
And when he punched him, he knocked him out.
yes, he did.
He knocked him out by the guy, you know, whether he hit his head on the ground or,
I don't know.
you don't know what.
Cause
Actually.
as soon as Fred hit him,
he
the
was-
gun was being shot.
Fred hit him. The guy that was gambling went down. And there was some time that elapsed and then you heard some gunshots.
No, it wasn't time lapse. It was not, it was literally
The guy went down,
it was a punch and then shots were fired.
punch, go down, shots were fired.
That a question?
Yes.
I like a statement, but.
Yeah, either.
Put it
I'll put it in a
form of a
question.
question, yeah.
There was a punch by Fred.
Mhm. And as soon as.
A man goes,
as soon as-
let me finish my question. And is it the case that a punch by Fred, wham in the face, guy goes down, shots fired?
Before the tall guy touched the ground, shots were fired directly, not in the air, literally shot straight forward.
Okay. and shots were fired, you say, by
Your client,
my client. Did he say anything?
no,
Did anybody say anything about what was going on, like, hey, cut the crap or anything like that? What's going on here? Why are we?
no,
No. And it's your testimony that nobody else had a weapon,
not that I know of.
not that you know. That's fair. While this punch in the face part of the episode was occurring, was the crowd moving around, as a group, moving one way or another?
They was, as Fred and Hutaga were arguing,
Yeah.
as the Fred hit him, everybody scattered, because it was a shot fired.
But before Fred hit him and there was arguing, was the crowd sort of moving in toward where Fred was and closer to the game?
No,
No. Did you hear anybody in the crowd say anything after the Fred knocked the guy out?
no, it was shots fired, everybody was running.
Everybody was wrong.
The only person that I had contact with after the shooting was
Yes.
the person who hid with me, and that's the guy that got shot in the butt.
Yeah. You talked to him about the case?
No, I haven't.
So everybody scattered, you were staying there trying to help Fred?
After everybody scattered, and I didn't hear gunshots anymore, I didn't know if they pulled off or not, but I didn't see my friend, so I went out to get my friend. And as I go out to get my friend, your client was dragging the tall boy into the car.
Tall boy was still knocked down,
Yes,
so we dragged him into the Malibu and that car left.
yes.
One moment. Can I have a moment? I don't think I have any other questions.
No redirect, Judge, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, can I have that one?
I think the lights are down.
You froze, Judge.
Sure.
Kitty. Ty say, it takes a minute. Yeah. See, it'll be tomorrow morning, so come on.
Pretty much.
It makes me nauseous. Where's the outlet? I was going. Man. Amazon. Mhm.
All right, we're gonna take a short recess. Put them back.
I want to make it happen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Just one?
Yes, ma'am, just one. Oh, actually, 2 copies would be great.
Go ahead.
Because that's the original. Best laid plans.
How long you been? I take my cuffs.
10 minutes or less.
He might have to use the rest night. Thanks.
Very springy.
Yeah, I know. Come on, bring the heat on.
Exactly.
Why?
I appreciate it.
Yeah, good.
Thanks, man. I
Why,
appreciate it.
why people.
You should just go. We can hang out.
You said
Hey, but you can sit at the table with me. Thank you so
So I
much.
was kind of sad I did.
Oh, you're welcome. Happy.
Awesome.
That's all that money is spent for years.
All right.
Well, my youngest is graduating this year. So
Maybe we
maybe
can pay for it.
No?
Or you?
Maybe
Yeah. Maybe the
Put my
school
mask
pay for it.
down for a minute.
the school pay for it.
Yeah.
You gotta tell me more about that.
It's not that, though.
What a black, mark.
You got one?
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, Lord, sorry.
Oh, yeah. And he said he fixed it, but it seems like it's gonna take a while to cool down.
Miss Kitty, I'm sorry.
Can I copy this one more time, only because I need it redacted?
Oh,
That's
it's
all.
okay.
I'm sorry about that.
Just one?
Yes, ma'am, just one. This is the top sheet.
It's okay.
That's right. No need. Just kidding. Big one, council. So, his name. Sorry about that.
Mm-mm. None of that, sir.
All right.
Started,
It's been a struggle already
it's like,
with this heat.
Did you see that?
See? You didn't listen.
I'm reading.
Oh, don't
We're gonna
read.
go tomorrow. Yes, ma'am.
That's the thing. Or flip on thing. Oh, that's cute.
Shopping.
It's a good time right now.
That's oh, does that clip on?
This one just sit on the desk. But the clip on one.
What do you say?
I don't want it.
What's that? We got.
Tell the other officers they're coming out.
This one, I had one. This one ain't bad for $15.
Are you ready when you, yeah, I'm good too.
How many more witnesses?
Hey, Katie.
Hey, Terry.
You all right?
Uh-huh.
You got quite a few people.
Y'all good or y'all need me to relieve y'all? or What?
It don't matter, whatever you want to do, sir.
I stick around, you know me.
Mhm.
Right. Little Terry, you don't mind staying.
They got one for $11, Katie.
I'm all right. My wife said, as long as I make it home by midnight.
Now, that part I don't believe.
Nah, I better be before midnight.
No, she said, you stay on.
She like, go ahead, make that money.
She did marry you for the money, didn't she?
Yeah, that's what she said.
This our last one.
Yeah, he said that. Yeah, so it's that.
This one a USB, but. Mhm. I don't think I want one with a USB. I want one that plug in. Gotta see, I might already got one. The clip-on fan.
So what, how you been doing?
I'm doing things. Beautiful day, huh?
Yeah,
Just right there.
Is it?
Oh, it's.
We locked in here with
I
no
know
windows.
you are.
Mr. Weissman,
Yes.
do you take, humor? Can you take some little humor? I was talking about you came here and made that desk into a full office.
Oh, yeah. I spread out as much room as there is.
Yeah.
To fill, I fill it.
You know what? That's corona free though, because can't nobody else sit there.
Right.
Yeah. Weissman, is that a Jewish?
It is, yes. My mother was from Poland. She came here as a 9-year-old. And my father
Should be
was,
quick.
his family was from Russia, but he was born
Civilian
in
and
Poland.
then officer.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Go ahead, y'all go ahead. I ain't gonna fight y'all to stay. Good night. Might have a good day, sir.
What's his name?
Graves.
Great.
Y'all ready to bring him up?
He already been out. He just went back to a minute.
Oh, we'll wait for the.
No, you can bring him back on. Bring him on. So the judge gonna be ready to go. We got about 5 more witnesses. How many more witnesses you have, counsel?
2, ma'am.
2. I wanna commend you on how, good of a prosecutor you are. You straight to the,
Oh, thank you so much. Hopefully the boss is hearing that.
huh?
Hopefully Kim Worthy's hearing that.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
No, I'm serious. You're very good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, sure.
Well, that 45 minutes is going out the window, right?
Pardon?
It's 45.
Oh, I know, I messed that one up.
That's okay.
Hey, best laid plans, right?
That's all right. Oh, you didn't mess it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please, Barbara.
Take care now. What we got? 234?
233.
When you started typing.
Okay, we deal with the inmate. So, okay.
Totally forgot about it.
Jessica left,
Yes, yes, good handle.
she couldn't handle it.
Yeah, it's over now, so I go back to the beginning.
He gets too much. Too much to bear.
It is hot in here.
Oh, man, I messed around. I had a hot cup of coffee right before I went back. After lunch, I was burning up in that court.
So it's hot down there.
Yes.
This must be hot in this whole building.
This is great.
Because I drank that coffee.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
Good handle. He gets too much. Probably told him to turn it up. Judge, over there, Rick. He don't tell me to take him back.
Ready, Judge.
But he's not.
You're gonna call him, Emmanuel Mannings? Hey, boss. Change your name.
Regarding, you swear our firm, so truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
All right, Manny, you're gonna be asked a series of questions, first by the prosecutor, and the defense attorney will probably ask you some questions, and I may or may not answer. Questions. All right?
Yes.
You have to answer your questions out loud, verbally, using words. You can't shake your head or say, because everything's being transcribed.
Yes,
All right, also, when you're asked a question, please just answer that question and stop.
yes,
If it's yes or no, just say yes or no, and stop. If you need additional information, we'll ask another question. We all have a tendency when we're talking about something that happened to us, especially something traumatic, we tend to ramble. We'll say this happened and this happened and this happened, go on and on. If you do that, I'm gonna miss something. If I miss something, I might not make the right decision. All right? That's why we proceed by one question, one answer, so I can understand.
yes.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, sir. All right, I need you to.
How you doing?
Good, sir. You doing all right?
Yes, sir.
All right, do you mind stating your name for the record, please?
Emmanuel Mannings,
And Mr. Mannings, how old are you, sir?
41.
And sir, I want to bring you back to the 27th of May of 2020. You remember that day?
Yes,
And I want to bring you to around 2:20 a.m. that particular morning. You remember that time?
yes,
Were you in the area of Hilldale and Keystone in the city of Detroit?
yes.
And what were you doing in that area at the time?
It was a dice game going on.
And it was a dice game with you and other people?
Yes.
Who else was there that you know?
My brother, my little brother, his friends, and the defendant right here.
All right, now when you say the defendant right there, you've taken your head, you kind of nodded it forward to someone in the courtroom. Can you point to him and identify an article of clothing he's wearing?
The green scrubs,
First row?
first row right here.
All right, I'm going to ask the record to reflect the witness to identify the defendant in this case, Juwan Graves, Your Honor.
Mr. Tory Clerk.
Now, was Mr. Graves there since the beginning when you were playing playing dice or shooting dice?
To be correct, they pulled up on the dice game.
Okay, when you say they, that presumes that there was more than one person other than Mr. Graves. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
How many people pulled up with Mr. Graves?
It was a light-skinned guy, and it was Mr. Gray, and some other gentleman, but he got out the back seat, he never stopped. He just kept on, I don't know if he left the scene, went home, but that was it.
What kind of car were they in?
I want to say some type of Chevrolet, I don't know if it was like a Malibu.
Do you remember what color?
Not really, because it was kind of dark, but it was like grayish, it had to be some type of, it was kind of dark.
Okay, so Mr. Graves and a light-skinned individual and another guy exit that vehicle. Where does the other guy go?
He goes like the other way, like he just went home or something.
Now, the guy that's with Mr. Graves, does he walk up with Mr. Graves to shoot dice?
Yeah, they walked up together.
And had you met either Mr. Graves or the other individual that we're talking about before that particular night?
No, I never seen him on damn moment.
And you said that your younger brother was there?
Yes.
And some friends were there as well?
Yes.
What's your younger brother's name?
Kenny Richardson.
And what about the friends?
The friend is Marquell Shoulder.
And, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
We all like grew up together.
So you're all friends? And you're shooting dice. How long would you say you were out there shooting dice?
It was like about 25, close to like 30 minutes almost. It was a long time.
And at what point during those 25 or 30 minutes does Juwan Graves and the two other individuals roll up in that gray Chevrolet?
I want to say like, cause I was picked up, actually, I was picked up by my little brother. So I came actually to a dice game that was already going on. So once I got there, not even, I want to say about 20 minutes later, the car pulled up.
And when the car, we're talking about the Chevrolet.
Yeah, the car.
Now, when Mr. Graves and the other individual walk up to shoot dice, how many individuals, how many people would you say were there?
Already?
Yes.
At least about 6, 7.
And out of those 6 or 7 people, did you know everyone that was there at the time, other than Mr. Graves and the person he was with?
Not really. I just knew like my little brother, my friend Marquell Shoulder, and I knew his little brother. That's it.
And who is Marquell's little brother?
I can't think of his. I don't know his name like that.
And what's the mood like when you're shooting dice?
I mean, everything was joyful. Like everything was correct. Everything was going fine. All of a sudden, like some confrontation went on about some money.
And when you say confrontation, who's this confrontation between?
The guy that was with the defendant, it was like a shoving went on, then right after that, it was like pow, 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 you know.
Okay, and when you say that there's an argument over money, the guy that is with the defendant, Mr. Graves, gets into some sort of shoving with who?
The guy that's dead.
Did you know that guy?
No.
Did you see that guy get shot?
No, not really, because when I seen the fire, I just automatically, my reaction, I said, oh.
Okay, so there's shoving, it's about money, and then you say that there's shots.
Yeah, I mean, actually, the defendant right next to him the whole dice game. Like he's standing right next to him, he's not shooting or nothing. He's not saying anything, he's just standing there.
Did you ever see a gun on him prior to the shooting?
No.
Did you see a gun on anyone prior to the shooting?
No.
So shooting happens. How close to Mr. Graves are you when the shooting starts?
I was basically like in the circle, because the circle was right there. So when the confrontation went down, everybody was trying to like stop it, but it was too late. He already fired.
Let me ask you this. You see the distance that I am to you?
Yes. It was about, we was a little bit, say like the glasses right here.
Okay.
It was like a circle like that.
And would you say as far as I am for you, is that how far you were away from the shooter? From Mr. Graves, or were you closer?
Kind of like when the confrontation started, because you know how when a bunch of guys get to pushing, So my reaction, hey, man, everybody chill out. So before that, it's boom. And all I hear is like 6 or 7 gunshots going on, and I just ran.
And you said that you heard or you testified that you saw the fire?
Yeah, from a gun.
And could you tell what type of gun it was?
No, not really, because to be frank with you, we in the middle of a corner with a street light, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning. So actually, I didn't see it, you know, but my reactions is just, you know, any average person, when you hear a gunshot, you automatically go try to run.
When you turn around, does anything happen?
I feel like my leg getting numb, and I looked, and my little brother was running right next to me. He like, bro, like one of us shot. I looked, and I was shot.
Where were you shot, sir?
It came through my buttocks and came out the front, like on my waistline.
The witness is taking his right hand, Your Honor, and kind of moving from the back of the right side of his buttocks to the front kind of like hip bone area on the right side of his body.
Correct.
And when you feel this, you said it's from behind going front.
Yes, because it was kind of like the situation where, I mean, maybe y'all can imagine, it's like if you in front of somebody face to face, and then a gunshot go off, your first reaction is to turn. So when I turned, because I ran towards my friend people's house for protection, because I just heard multiple shots. But by the time I got on the side of the house, I was bleeding. So after like not even 10 minutes later, I passed out. I don't remember nothing.
Do you remember where you passed out?
Like on the corner, like on the curb, I think.
At any point in time after you passed out, do you remember waking up?
No.
What's the first thing you remember after you passed out?
The lights and the ambulance.
So were you inside or were you outside the ambulance at that point?
I was inside.
Did they take you to a hospital?
Yes.
Which hospital did you go to?
Receiving.
Do you know, how long were you there for?
And how long I was there receiving?
Yes, sir.
I wasn't there too much that long. I had ended up leaving.
Was it the same day? Was it the next day? Was it a week?
It was like the next day, because it really, wasn't, it just was the in and out. So basically.
Did you receive any type of medication or stitches or patches or anything like that?
Yeah, they just patched me up, they gave me medication and everything. That's about it.
I want to bring you back to right before the shooting.
Okay.
Was anyone drinking at that particular time?
Oh, yeah.
What were you guys drinking?
People was drinking Hennessy. It was,
Was anyone smoking?
weed, of course.
Okay. I know that sounds like a stupid question.
No, I mean,
but I have to ask.
I gotta tell the truth.
Certainly. And so the next thing you remember after the shooting is you wake up in the ambulance and they take you to Detroit Receiving. Is that fair to say?
Now,
Now,
let me correct. Exactly. I did remember having words with my little brother on the ground as I was laying there, but that was it.
in your little brother, you referred to Kenny Richardson?
Yes.
After you leave the hospital, were there attempts by the Detroit Police Department to speak to you?
One, he came by and he talked to me, but he said he had to come back and see me. But, by the corona and everything, he could never catch me because I had ended up going back to work and started working. So it was like a missing, because I had my number changed, everything.
Okay, and you'd agree with me that you have not given a formal statement regarding what happened until today? Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
And that is contained in the 2-page document that Detective Lucy just took from you?
Yes.
And it's fair to say that, can you see from there, is this the 2-page document?
Yes, I signed it at the bottom. That's my signature.
Now, in terms of the description of the individual that was the shooter, do you remember what you said?
Yeah.
Describe the shooter for me.
Like dark skin, like prescription glasses, like small, like mini fro. It wasn't cut low, it was just like a mini fro.
Did Mr. Graves say anything, during the shooting?
Nope. He was very silent. Only time he said something was one time when he gave his friend $20 because he was short $20 on on $100 bet. That's the only words came out of his mouth. He was like, I got you. And he gave him the money.
Now, this argument that was happening, you said it was.
That was after he gave him the money. Like, he was just, like, the defendant never said nothing. He was just standing there. He wasn't aggressive with nobody. He was just standing there.
Was there ever a time where the group that you were with said or insinuated that you didn't want either Mr. Graves or their friend, or the other individual he was with, the taller guy you described, that they couldn't play? Was there any conversation regarding that?
No.
Was there ever any threats between the?
Oh, you talking about when they first pulled up? Yes.
Tell me about that.
It was told not to shoot with nobody you don't know, because that causes problems.
That's an unwritten rule.
That's a unwritten rule. However, but it's like if you don't know nobody, why would you have them pull up and do that? Because see what happens, somebody end up dead, and I end up shot.
So how does it come about that the taller guy Mr. Graves is with gets to actually shoot guns? Who comes forward out of that group and says or insinuates you guys can join?
Marquell.
Your friend.
Yeah.
And then how long was the group playing the taller guy Mr. Graves is with?
They was playing for about 25 minutes, 30 minutes almost.
Were they drinking or smoking with you guys?
Nope.
And then there was an argument about money.
That's after like a long period of time, like it went on for a minute, and then like after a long period of time, I don't know if it was about people money got low or whatever. All I know is it was a shove going on over you didn't hit this point, and then that's when I seen the fire.
And you said you heard 6 to 7 shots?
Yeah, at least.
Who got physical first? Who started the physical altercation between the sides that you testified about?
That there, I couldn't really point it out.
So,
all I know, the pushing went on.
okay, do you remember giving a statement?
Yeah.
A couple of minutes ago? And you remember being asked, what can you tell, can you tell me about, can you tell me what you?
Hold on, because you confused me. You're talking about the time when he gave him the $20 or the time after
Okay,
when the shooting went on? It was two different times.
let's clarify that, okay? Let's clarify that.
Alright.
There's, from the time that there is a physical push, an altercation, a fight, whatever.
That's the end.
That's the end.
Yeah.
Okay, was there any other time where it got physical between Mr. Graves and the person he was with and your group?
Yeah. That's when, I don't know if the guy that's deceased pushed the light skinned guy or the light skinned guy pushed him. It happened like that, so.
And then shots.
And then shot immediately.
But when Mr. Graves hands his friend, whoever he's with, the $20, there's no physical altercation going on.
That was like maybe way before that point.
Okay. So shooting happens almost simultaneously with the pushing.
Like right as the pushing went on, the shooting.
And that's the only time that either side physically gets into it.
In type of altercation or anything. It didn't happen until the pushing went down.
The other, and you've never seen these guys before?
Never, day in my life.
Which individual was the driver of that gray colored Chevrolet?
I can't really remember, but I want to say the light skinned guy was the driver. That's as far as I can remember. Light skinned guy was the driver. He was the passenger, and some other guy was in the back.
When you say he, you're referring to Mr. Graves?
Yeah.
Judge, I have nothing further. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
How you doing?
Okay. Mr. Manning, how did you know about the game over there on Keystone?
I never knew about the game until I was called by my little brother.
You were called by your little brother,
Correct.
and he apparently knew about a dice game that was going on or gonna go on later in the day. How did that work?
No, it was already after like 1, so he was like, bro, let's go hang out. So he called me, I'm like, all right, so he's like, we're about to go meet Quill over here at the dice game, he's shooting dice. I'm like, all right, bro, I'm like, it's late, bro. Like, I don't wanna go over here really, we only gonna be over here a few minutes, so. The few minutes turned until
Who was the one?
like an hour.
Couple hours or an hour?
It was like an hour. Like, I'm saying, the point from I got there and the shooting and everything was within like an hour.
From the time you got there until the shooting happened, you were there about an hour. You don't know how long the game was going on.
Before that, no.
It was going on before that.
Yeah.
And apparently your brother heard from somebody that a dice game was going on.
No, he was already actually over there with him. He
Oh,
came
your
and
brother
picked
was
me
already
up.
at the dice game. He
Yeah.
said, come on down.
Yeah.
Okay. You shoot dice?
No,
You don't?
I did not shoot that night.
So you just went to hang?
I just went waiting on my brother and then I was watching.
And your brother was there, and who else was there that you knew?
I only know Marquell.
Marquell?
Yeah, that's it. He's outside.
Okay. And then there were other people there, right?
Yeah.
Do you know any of those other people?
No.
Did you
Like
say
the little brother. Marquell little brother, that's the only
Marquell's
I know.
little brother? When you say little brother, how old are you talking?
He over, he just his little brother. He about 22, something
Yeah.
like that.
A man, but.
He a man,
young
right.
man. And so, was Marquell gambling?
Yep,
And his little brother, was he gambling?
yep.
And was there any discussion before you guys got in, when you got there about, well, why did those were strangers to Marquell and your brother, weren't they? I mean, why did they get into a game with strangers?
And would that call for speculation, Judge?
Do you know?
Hold on, it's all speculation, Council.
Okay. Were you concerned about going to a game?
No, no, I wasn't worried
You want to
about
let me finish the question?
it. Okay.
Were you concerned when you went there?
No.
That
Don't ask the question.
that your brother was getting into a game was in a game with strangers, people he didn't know? You were concerned about that?
No, sir.
Well, it was cool for him to be in a game with strangers?
My brother was never shooting.
Somebody you know was shooting,
Yeah.
and he was in a game with strangers. You didn't.
No. He was in the game with his family.
The family was playing.
Exactly.
Did you hear any argument about points being made or not made? How much money was supposed to be in the pot, et cetera? Did you hear any arguments?
At what point?
Until the argument that led to the shooting.
Did I hear any argument about a point?
Yeah.
Like 2 seconds before the shooting and the pushing went down, yes, it was argument.
How about earlier?
No argument. It was a little bit, but it wasn't nothing like that. But that's when the defendant pulled out the $20, like, here you go. He got $100 shoot.
Was the game, what, $100 game? Is that what you heard?
Yeah,
It was a big money game.
yeah.
What was where did everybody, you don't know. There was a lot of money in the pots?
It was if $100, so $100 and $100, if it's 2 people shooting, that's $200.
Was there more than 2 people shooting at a
Yeah, because people make side bets.
side bets being made, so there was money changing hands,
Exactly.
and a fair amount of money was changing.
Exactly,
Okay. And, people want to pay attention to their money.
exactly.
And so then a car pulls up, this Malibu. And do they park the car or do they,
They parked it.
park and then two guys walked over and one guy didn't? Is that what?
Yeah, two guys walked over, walked to the dice game.
And, so everybody was willing to have them in the game.
No,
People said it's dangerous to have people.
yeah, I said, don't let them shoot.
But who said, hey, it's cool?
Mark Will,
Marquell said it's cool.
yeah,
And then the guy and Markel was betting,
yeah.
okay. So he felt it was cool, well, you don't know why, but he felt it was cool to let the strangers come into the game.
He had to know him.
Right. You don't know if he did it.
I don't know. That's,
You're guessing about that.
I have no idea.
Might have been a perfect stranger as far as Markel was concerned.
Ask we got
How about the guy that was shot? He was doing a fair amount of gambling, wasn't
Yes.
he? He was one of the heavy participants.
Yeah.
Okay. And he was betting hundreds?
Yeah, the dice game was 100.
All right, he was, when these guys showed up in the Malibu in the car, do you know whether that guy who was shooting, not Markel, but the other guy who got shot, was he up money or down, or, you know?
He was, I don't know what he was.
All right,
He had money.
all right. He had money in his
Yeah,
pocket.
he had a bunch of money.
He had a bunch of them.
Yeah.
How did you know that?
Because, he had it in his hand. When people shoot dice on the streets, man, they keep their money in their hand
They're holding
and they out there shooting it is,
Right, exactly.
I'm in court, so I can't really explain to you the way I want to.
Right.
But, if you ever seen a dice game, that's how people shoot dice.
Right. Holding heavy. Holding a lot of money, $2. And, the game is going quick, back and forth, right?
Yeah, that's how you shoot dice.
Right. Heavy action. And the guy who got shot, he appeared to you to be willing to have the light-skinned guy get in the game?
I have no idea what that man had on his mind.
But he
He wasn't aggressive, he wasn't nothing, he was just chilling, like everybody else.
Who was chilling?
The guy that got shot, who you talking about?
Right. He was just chilling, and so.
Everybody just shooting dice.
And so these two guys come up and they get in the game.
Yeah,
They didn't bully their way in.
no,
They didn't threaten to get in.
no.
They just got into the game.
Exactly,
All right.
like a normal dice game.
Like a normal. And, that dice game, like a normal dice game, is going down for a little while. You said about what, 25? That is when the two people came up. Of the two people that came up, by the way, only one of them was gambling.
Can I ask you a question?
No.
What you mean?
Not really.
No.
Not really.
Answer this question if you can.
Judge will get angry. My question. Yeah, what about the $20? When did that happen?
The $20 was like an some money he gave his homeboy because he was short on the $100 bet. So don't get it like mixed up. He was short, he gave him $20 to make him have a whole 100 to shoot.
Right.
That's what happened.
All right. And that was not an unfriendly deal between anybody?
No, it was friendly. Everything was friendly.
Everything was friendly.
Until the pushing with the guy that's dead did the pushing. That's when everything went sour.
The guy that did the pushing.
Whoever, I don't know.
All right. You made it sound just now like the guy that was
No,
dead did the pushing.
I don't know who did it.
And you don't know what it was about.
You
You
said
don't know who was in the right
Yeah, Mom.
about the point. Do you? Do you?
No.
Okay. Could have been the guy that got shot was in the right, or it could have been the guy that was gambling that was in the right.
I have to respectfully object to relevance at this point.
Yeah.
That really matters in the red
No.
line.
Yeah, right. I'm just trying
Okay.
to establish who's.
Hold on. Go ahead.
why anybody's ire got up.
You gotta think about it. This happened a year ago.
Right.
Things happen fast. All I know, it was a pushing and I heard gunfire.
Did you see the guy that got, shot? Did he punch somebody?
I don't know what he did.
You didn't see that?
I didn't give myself time to look at it. Cause the gunfire went off soon as the pushing started.
You didn't see a punch?
I didn't see none of that.
Okay. Got it. And, when the pushing started, and then you immediately sort of heard the gunfire, gunshot, and then you turned and ran, right? You gotta leave out of there.
Yes,
Okay. And did you turn your back when you went to leave out of there?
I had to.
And then you were shot, and if the bullet
Shot as
entered
I
your
was
back.
running.
Shot
I
as you
shot
were-
either, I shot as I turned around.
Got it. And you kept going, and then.
And I just kept going.
In your statement, you used the expression, he pushed the victim and a fist fight began. A fist fight
Yeah,
began.
it was like a pushing over the money, like, it's hard for me to explain how a dice game go. People try to pick their money up soon as the confrontation start, people grabbing for their money.
Right.
So you had a shoving saying, hold on, that's my money.
Hold on, that's my.
That's where it went down,
And then a fist fight began.
yeah.
And fist
But
fight.
it wasn't the guy in the yellow did not have it going.
Yeah,
I'm telling you that.
the guy that got shot didn't have a gun.
He didn't have no gun, or the guy in the yellow that was with him, he had it.
He had the gun.
Yeah,
The guy that was rolling dice.
he didn't have the gun, the guy that got into the pushing and the shoving.
You
I don't know whether he pushed the light-skinned guy or the light-skinned guy pushed him. It happened so quick, you gotta think about a reaction. So,
Do you know how much money was on the ground when that?
I have no idea.
Not relevant.
Uh, One second. Nothing for.
No regret, Judge, thank you.
All right, thank you. Sir, you sit down.
Ladies, witness, be excused, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any other witnesses?
Judge, I don't think I call it a witness, Your Honor. I think that, the only thing is we have two more stipulations, Your Honor, for the court. Your Honor, the first is People's Proposed Exhibit 21. It's a lab report. It's a firearms lab report from the Michigan State Police. I provided the defense counsel. We've discussed its relevance in this particular case, and I think we have a stipulation for exam purposes only that in People's Exhibits 2 through 16, they're shown photographs of shell casings that were recovered from the scene. They were examined by the Michigan State Police. And Shelby Seismonic, who's a forensic scientist for the Firearms and Tool Marks Unit, analyzed those spent shell casings and authored a report on September 4th of 2020 that they were 9mm Luger caliber casings, and they were all fired from the same weapon. And I think we have a stipulation for exam purposes only in regards to that.
That's correct, Judge.
Accepting stipulation, and this is,
Thank you, Judge. And then finally, we have People's Exhibit number 22, which is a stipulation in regard to the felon in possession for exam purposes.
That's also true. Did we stipulate to how many shell casings? Yeah.
Okay, sure. Your Honor, I believe. There were six cases, Your Honor. And in regards to People's Exhibit number 22, may I read the stipulation into the record?
Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have entitled, the people of the state of Michigan plaintiff versus defendant Juwan Darian Graves. It's case number 20-0058939-01. It's a stipulation that both parties, the defendant, his counsel of record, and people of the state of Michigan stipulate that the defendant Juwan Graves, for the purposes of count 3, felon in possession of a firearm, has been previously convicted of a felony. Further, Juwan Graves did not have the right to use, possess, transport, carry, sell, etc. a firearm at the time of the alleged offense because his requirements for regaining eligibility had not been met. It's signed by myself, the assistant prosecutor, Mr. Weitzman, the attorney for Mr. Graves, and it's dated 3/9/21.
that's correct. Right, we'll accept that stipulation for example,
Judge, with that, the people have no further witnesses. I believe that we have admitted, just for the record, People's Exhibits 1 through 17, 21, and 22. And with that, people are arrested.
We have no witnesses.
all right, motion,
Judge, we're going to move to the bind the defendant over arrest charge and reserve argument.
I think we've got 5 questions before us, Judge.
agree. Any questions, fine. Yeah, anything else there, Lee?
Pardon, Judge?
You said it was a question of fact, so.
Oh, yeah, I have no argument then, Judge. I agree, it's question of fact.
Whereby the felonies enumerated complaining warrant any such occurrence to be strike cause of discharge of defendant will be bound over the Wayne County Circuit Court Criminal Division for writing on the information, which will be March 16, 2021, 9 o'clock a.m.
Thank you, Judge.
March 16?
Yep. Oh, here's.
Okay? Thank you, Judge.
Thanks, Judge.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Have a nice day.
Juwan, I'll be in touch.
Okay.
Thank you.
I take them down.
Do you need anything from me? Do you need anything from me?
The phone number, in case I need anything.
Me too.
No, I don't think I need anything from you.